So we see the story where the vein smoke have actually returned to Germa, but with Caesar. So we don't know what's going to happen to him, but we're going to see what's going to happen on the story as right now, which we see how Egghead Island is from 900 years into the past, which they were in shock. However, we see how Vegapunk actually reveals to Robin that the same island whose actually research was on ohara, which 22 years ago it was destroyed by a buster call, knowing the fact that the world government knew that they were researching the void century and the history of it, knowing the fact that the one between the alliance of 20 countries was never actually exist because it was erased every trace of it from history, which they were actually knowing of the fact that the reason why Ohara was wiped out because of the fact that knowing of how the world government fear of that country will be released, which Robin say if that was true, if they were researching that kingdom, then the books and the researches was destroyed. But he say that the will of Ohara lives on, which they have destroyed the island, was wiped away. All is left is her, knowing of the fact that these scholars are known as demons, which were plotted to overthrow the government, which Robin became emotional, but he say a few months later after Ohara incident, they ran over to pay a visit to that island where he was friends with Clover, a respected archaeologist, which Robin is shocked to find out that he knew Clover, in which he actually has the session with the Void Century, in which we knew how they have actually went over there, in which we get a clear look of Vegapunk right now when he looked over the tree that was destroyed, in which they have found a river that actually has the books that was thrown by these scholars, knowing of how she became so emotional because of the fact that Ovia, her late mother, has stayed to protect the entire history and throw away every book, which Sal have actually take her away to keep her safe, which knowingly how the other Triads are actually angry at him for making her upset, but they actually knew that he took the books back to Punk Hazard, by which we see how he has saw the giants have carried the books, which they knew that is important, which we see Dragon actually appeared, knowing that he is friends with him, 33 years old, in which we get a clear look and the first appearance of Dr. Vegapunk, who is 43 years old and the head of the Punk Hazard Scientists, which we knew how the giants came from Oha, knowing of how they came to take back the books and take it back to the island with them, in which we knew how he paid their respects to the scientists who lost their life. He told him to watch because he'll change the world. The real ohara won't die with Clover, because in fact within a year, he, Ivankov, and Kuma founded the Revolutionary Army, which they will continue to shake the earth to its core, which they were actually shocked to hear that Luffy's dad, who actually became a founding member, or one of the founding members, of the Revolutionary Army, in which they say that the books of Ohara was not the only thing that was found by the world government, but they realized that a giant who's protecting the library, who's still alive, knowing the fact that we can see Saul, who actually visit him, in which we see how Robin sheds tears of joy to hear that his friend is still alive, in which we see how their shoes move on their own because he wanted to show them something in another room, in which we headed back to the junkyard of Egghead Island, where Luffy's group had saw a giant robot, a hint of Oda's next manga, in which we see how they tried to make the giant robot move, which they've spotted someone who actually stuck between the robots, in which they actually tried to break him free, in which we see how Dr. Vegapunk had actually made it out alive, which he's the scientist, and he is the real Vegapunk this time. So this story actually became emotional for Robin when Vegapunk said that the will of Ohara still lives, in which she became more emotional to learn that Saul, who's still alive, which we see how they are headed to another room. But Luffy's group, who actually found the real Vegapunk after a brief flashback of Dragon, founded the Revolutionary Army, and his real appearance, which it was based off the comedy sketch of the real scientist Albert Einstein. So we're going to see what's going to happen on the next chapter next weekend. So anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment everything about the manga chapter. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and my Facebook page and Twitch. Until then, this is Anime Guide right here saying signing out. Laters, and be safe.